This perp back with another video, and I just got done watching from season 2, episode 10. This is the season 2 finale, the conclusion of this season. Who knows when we're going to get season 3? My predictions is probably, depending on the writer's strike, maybe early like 2025, give or take. But yeah, a lot of interesting things went down in this episode, especially that cliffhanger ending that I know a lot of people are going to kind of start to talk about, and I don't think anybody really expected to happen. So, jumping right into things, we pick up where the last episode left off, where we had Marielle, Julie, and Randall all get attacked by these bugs, these cicadas, and all of their eyes started going white, and they were just in like this kind of comatose type of state until they start to kind of reawaken and start yelling, and it's dope that they kind of had Donna and all them go look for Randall. They weren't going to leave him out there, and what I'm saying, Christy is still by Marielle's side, where you also see Jim and Ethan just looking over Julie, and also Tabitha's there as well, watching this kind of go down. And it's really tough to kind of see somebody that you love kind of go through that, knowing that they're in pain, they're screaming in pain, which leads to our next scene where you have Boyd, Sarah, and Kenny going out to where Boyd was with Martin. And as soon as Tara kind of gets there, she's like, I hear the music box. And her nose starts to bleed. She starts to kind of freak out, and it's like, it's here. And Boyd also, before they get there, tells Sarah about the whole nursery rhyme thing with them stealing, them breaking, and them touching and stuff like that. Going back to Colony House, you have Donna trying to kind of pretty much be at ease, or not at ease. You got this theme throughout this whole episode of people pretty much coming to the conclusion that their days are numbered, and they're just trying to make do with what their circumstances is at this moment. And you see Donna seeing Tilly, praying with people and whatnot. But here's where things kind of get interesting, where Tabitha pulls Jim aside, steps away from Julie's bedside and says, look, I haven't been honest with you. I have to tell you something, and I need you pretty much your blessings on this, because I really want to go do this. There's these kids in this lighthouse. This is what Victor told me. I want to go out there because this might be the only way to save Julie. But Jim is very hesitant at first because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to Tabitha, but she just feels like this is what she's meant to do, and asks Victor, yo, where is this bottle tree that you're talking about? Which then you see Victor go on to show Tabitha where this tree is at, while, at the same time, Jim accepts this and pretty much says goodbye for now to Tabitha, which is kind of concerning because you're thinking, like, what are they setting up for her character? Meanwhile, back at the forest with Boyd and Kenny and also Sarah, Boyd just is lost for words. He doesn't really know what to do. He's like, every time we figure one thing out, another problem pops up. I don't know really what to kind of make of all of this. And Kenny's like, we need to figure this out quickly. Like, there's people's lives at stakes right now. So really tense scene right there. Now we get to a scene where Ellis probably, had the worst thing he could have possibly said to a person, and he tries to go to Reggie and says, I understand what you're going through. Don't put this on yourself. There's no one to blame. And I was just like, just somebody like Reggie, you can't tell him that. While, Fatima pops up and says, you know what? Let's get married. And, it's interesting to see Ellis have this like kind of carefree attitude, and I feel like that's the reason why Reggie's like, that's not what I wanted to hear at that moment. You're sitting there, happy as can be, living carefree while like I just lost somebody, and this is what you got to say to me. But going back to the whole Fatima and Ellis whole scene right here, and her pretty much saying, if this is going to be our last moments together, I don't want to waste none of that. Let's get married. Then we get a scene of Jade just kind of losing his mind, breaking glass, and then all of a sudden he sees Tom the bartender, and he's like, "Aren't you dead?" And then Tom kind of responds like, "You're not gonna question this? You don't think I'm fake?" And he's just like, "No, I'm pretty much used to this." And this is where Tom tells him, like, "You need to go down into those caves." And I'm like, why the fuck would you tell him to go down there? That's not probably a good idea, but everybody has kind of a lane to kind of go towards, or a journey. You know what I'm saying? That's another kind of theme that's kind of talked about throughout this whole entire episode as well, which I find interesting. So now Sarah asks Boyd, like, did they bury Paula yet? And Boyd kind of is like, huh? He kind of like dismisses a little bit, or he just not really thinking about that. And Sarah wants to kind of contribute to this, you know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, like I said, Ellis telling Reggie that whole thing led him to kill one of the people at Colony House and take one of the guns, because Donna earlier in the episode pretty much said, like, lock up the guns, we're not going to probably need them tonight, which is pretty odd. Then we see Jade go down to the caves, and he's met with Slappy the doll. That's what I'm going to just call him, because that's exactly what this ventriloquist doll looks like. And it's smart that Jade also brought rope with him, so he didn't get, or string, so he did not get lost, or, couldn't find his way out. This was a dope scene as well, with Boyd going to the church and kind of just having a little argument with God, saying like, what, this is some type of fucked up game to you and whatnot. And right when this starts to happen, this was a great scene, by the way. Like, I think this is definitely an Emmy worthy type of kind of scene, him just kind of talking to himself, talking to God. Donna pops in and kind of cuts him off. While this is going on, we get another scene where Kenny is kind of trying to be there for Christy, and her moment of her kind of just not knowing what's going to happen with Marielle at this time. And he kind of references this whole thing to, like, kind of, or equates it to being a thread. It's something that his father used to say to him. I just enjoyed both of these scenes and what it kind of meant, and just to see these characters where their mind state is at. It's pretty much at despair, but also just, there's some people that still have hope. Key word, hope. We'll get back to that very shortly. So the next scene we get is Jade back at the caves, and then all of a sudden, while he is looking in this cave, he hears Cooey, the little creepy ass kids, and then he sees visions of them laying down like they're about to be sacrificed or whatnot, and they're looking up, and he sees that symbol, and maybe that's the symbol, and that's what they pray to, is a Cooey, or whatever the fuck they were saying, whatever. Then we get a interesting, scene with Tabitha and Victor as they're going to that bottle tree. That's one of the faraway trees. This is where his mother actually died at. And Victor pretty much breaks down to Tabitha exactly what a faraway tree is, and how sometimes it can be random. Which leads her to go right to the lighthouse. And boy, we will be right back with what exactly is in that lighthouse and what ends up happening. We're going to shift things over to the next scene, where this was a very dope, lighthearted moment of the whole entire series, where we see Ellis and Fatima getting married, and them pretty much exchanging their vows, but then Boyd getting weird. It almost seemed like, Ellis didn't think that Boyd was going to make it here on time, but it ended up just being a really dope scene playing out. Speaking of another scene that was dope, also pretty dark for just Ethan and his mindset, where he asks Jim if Julie dies, will she see Thomas again? And he sees that as not a bad thing. Maybe that's better for her. And it's just like, yeah, that's a really dark kind of way to think about it, especially for Ethan. Then, oh boy, we get a scene of Boyd coming out of, that back of that truck where they were earlier on in the season. He comes out with a torch, but then he's greeted by Reggie, and Reggie's got the gun and shoots Boyd. And Boyd wasn't trying to shoot back, but he ended up having to put Reggie down. He then proceeds to he gets shot in the arm or something like that. I thought he got shot in the side, because I was like, yeah, you're probably down for the count, but he just got shot in the arm. Ends up lighting the torch, and then that torch puts him right back where he first meets Martin. But Martin is not there. No. He is greeted by, Julie, Marielle, and also Randall's there. And then his wife pops up and says it's okay. Destroying that music box isn't going to do anything. It's only going to delay their inevitable death. And Boyd's like, no, I need to save these people. But what's interesting is what's said in this episode. I'm pretty sure it's from Boyd's wife, Abby. She says, it doesn't feed off your fear, it feeds off your hope. And then that's when they start to scream for bloody murder, and just like nobody knows what the fuck to do. And this is where Boyd destroys the music box, which then leads to everybody kind of waking up and getting some type of sigh of relief. But then also Ethan asks, like, is that it? Is that all? But no, there has to be something else going on, because whatever Boyd brought back was kind of mocking him throughout this whole episode. Like, I'm glad that you brought me back here. I'm going to make y'all suffer. I don't think this is going to be the end of whatever is going on. But I do think with Boyd kind of finding out where this music box is and destroying it, maybe they have to do the same thing to that ventriloquist doll to stop, like, the monsters in the caves. And it's kind of just like, not like a video game, but like Ethan was saying, like a quest. Like, you have to do one thing to stop another thing. And this is where things get really interesting, though, because you have Julie ask Jim, like, where's mom? And Tabitha is traveling up these staircases, and all she can hear is a cooey. And all of a sudden she's greeted by the boy in white, and then the boy in white pushes her out the lighthouse, and then all of a sudden she wakes up in a hospital. I'm like, whoa, did she just kind of time travel, go to another kind of reality or something like that? Or is that really how you wake up and get out of this place? You have to die, Maybe Abby was right. I don't know. This was pretty interesting. If that's the case, then everybody else is kind of stuck, and now she has to kind of figure out. Or this might be a flashback of some sort, or a memory of hers, and who knows, man. This is really interesting. I thought this was an interesting finale, and it asks a lot more questions, and I think we can kind of see where this is kind of going. I could see some people being disappointed with this finale. I'm curious, though. What did you guys feel about it? I thought just everything with all these different characters, even though it is kind of disappointing that nobody died, but who's to say they won't die in the next season or in the future? I could see that being a complaint, like they copped out. They were too afraid to kill off at least one of these characters. But I enjoyed this season nonetheless. I still thought it was really solid. I'm curious to see if they're going to have new characters pop up in season 3 and what other dangers that they're going to come across. Because I definitely think that it's going to get worse from here. I don't think they're scot-free, and we still got to figure out what the fuck happened with Tabitha. Is she dead? Did she just go into a different kind of reality? That just kind of threw a curveball for me. I don't even know what to kind of make of that, but it's fascinating. Let me know how you guys feel about this season and this finale as a whole. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.